for two more?
Hardcore football. Border battle. We're coming. What's up, everybody? This is 9 to noon, and I'm Paul Allen. The producer is Nordo, and we welcome you to a day of play at FM 100.3 KFAN, and courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes border battle conversation right out of the gate. We welcome you to the Love Covenant at FM 100.3 KFAN.
You're listening to 9 to noon.
That's us, and here we are. And Bill Michaels is the 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon host at 96.7 The Zone, out Wisconsin way. Border Battle 128 is looming. The winner owns first place in the division, nearly a quarter of the way into the 2024. And for the love, from love or not to love, Gary with a hand in the grass, and the emerging excellence of wide receiver Jaden Reed, here's Wisconsin radio juggernaut Bill Michaels. How are things for you over there in the land of milk and honey, my brother?
We're doing good. I was just telling your producer that I'm just leaving the grocery store because we are gearing up to head to La Crosse for a few days. The biggest Oktoberfest in the state is taking place, so we're going to go imbibe a little bit and then head over to check out the Vikings and the Packers this weekend. But yeah, things are good. Whenever you got beer in your future, things are good, man. How you doing?
So I'm well, thank you. When it comes to imbibing, say 3:15, 3:20 on Sunday. Do you believe Packers or Vikings fans will need to relieve pain the most to a certain extent by imbibing? Like, who do you like in this game and why? Green Bay is favored by a couple of points.
I actually ended up picking last night the Vikings to win in a close one, almost in a coin flip. And the reason why is because what Flores has done with that defense and the ability to confuse has been nothing short of amazing. Now, I predicate that upon the fact that I'm also looking at Jordan Love coming off of an injury and not playing for the last 2 weeks and just trying to get back at it. We saw him last week, and we thought that maybe he would play, and I thought, you know what? Knowing the Green Bay Packers, they are notorious for holding a guy out a week or even 2 weeks later than really necessary because they want to make sure they're as close to 100% when they play.
Right.
So not only is Jordan Love coming back, to play, but he's coming back to shake some rust off, and then he's got to do it immediately on a defense that right now is firing on all cylinders, and that worries me. So the likelihood of Jordan Love playing is very real. I think it's probably more to the 80-90% that he'll play than last week when I said maybe it was 50-50. But I just think right now, defensively speaking, you're able to run the ball. You're actually able to throw the ball quite a bit. Sam Darnold, one of the quarterbacks that throws more on first and second down than anybody. The Packers have been good on defense, but their front four and the ability to stop the run and over the middle has concerned me from day one of the season. Yeah, the difference really with the Green Bay Packers is this, Paul. They're +7 in the turnover category. They lead the NFL. If it's not for the turnovers, they're not winning these ball games. So while their defense is mid to lower mid, in a lot of categories statistically, they're getting the turnovers, which is giving them more bites at the apple to score more points and such. So that's the reason I chose the Vikings to win the game and not the Packers. But I think it's going to be one hell of a game.
What, Bill? What's leading you to the 80 to 90% on Love? I mean, I know he's limited. He'll be limited all week. They'll play that game. Kevin O'Connell, coach of the Vikings, joins this radio show each and every Tuesday at 11 o'clock. And while I kind of feel he expects Love, you know, he also wouldn't be surprised if Matt at times used both quarterbacks. But like what leads you to Love playing in this game?
I just think last week he was really close. And like I said, I think that the MCL sprain originally was 2 to 4 weeks, and then it went 3 to 6, and then the rumors all of a sudden just stopped. It's like the Packers just shut off the informational faucet. Remember, it was Ian Rappaport that a couple of weeks ago said it would be at least 3 weeks, so we targeted 3 games, not technically 3 weeks away from the injury. So this would be 3 weeks and a couple of days away from the injury. So we're assuming that 3 week period would technically be this week. And because he's not walking with a limp, I saw him yesterday in some of the video when he's working out, he's doing twisting and he's talking to coaches. It's almost as if to say, hey, this was the only thing that was bothering me and it's not bothering me anymore. So to me, if he can play, you want to play him. One, you want to bring him back. It's a big game. You had mentioned it. It's a big opponent. Obviously, if the Vikings win this one, they are 3 games up on the Green Bay Packers because they would own a 2-game lead plus a tiebreaker. So it's huge for the Packers in that regard. And 2, I don't think you want to bring him back at SoFi Stadium next week on turf. I think you want to put him on the natural grass at home and with a little momentum. And if you need to bring in Malik Willis, you can. But I just just what I saw yesterday out of Jordan Love, and we'll see it again today, but just what I saw yesterday, it looks like he's more ready to go this week than he was last week.
What, Bill, what'd you think of Malik Willis? I mean, he goes 2-0. That 29-yard run he had at Nashville off the read option with Jacobs where he kept it in his belly for like 5 seconds. I mean, Malik's really settled into a confident stride specifically with the running part.
100% agree. I think what Matt LaFleur did was brilliant. And I have been one of Matt LaFleur's biggest critics at times. And right now I'm completely back on the Matt LaFleur bandwagon in so many different ways. When he went through the last 2 years of Aaron Rodgers, I thought he was on the verge of losing the team. And midseason last year, he kind of put all of that aside, wrapped his arms around the club. When we started hearing things coming out about the defense and about the coordinators, and it was starting to, you could just kind of feel it, Paul. You've been there. You feel when guys start chirping that they're not happy inside the locker room, and he put an end to it. And he wrapped his arms around the organization, and then everybody got on the same page, and we saw what happened. And this year, as a play caller, I think what he did in that first game against the Colts, where he said, Malik, we're not going to put any pressure on you at all. You're going to be the guy that can run around a little bit, throw a few short passes, and we're going to run the ball. And even going back to the first half of that game where there was 1:49 left, they could have run the 2-minute offense. They said, no, we've got this game in hand. Defensively speaking, we're good. We're going to take all the pressure off you and not allow you to make a mistake. That's what he's done. Malik Willis has not made mistakes. He's not had to read a lot of mistakes because it's just 2.5 seconds, get rid of the damn ball, get it into the hands of your playmakers. We've got a lot of motion, a lot of movement, a lot of things that are going to confuse defenses, specifically with Jaden Reed, who's become the Deebo Samuel of the Green Bay Packers, and just said, just do what we tell you to do and take the thinking out of the game for the most part. And I think Malik Willis has just thrived in it because he's not feeling the pressure. All he's got to do is just go execute what's sitting there in front of him.
Well, this Jaden Reed, I mean, you're right. I mean, he doesn't run it between the tackles like Deebo, but it's almost 20 yards a catch, 17 per run, a couple of TDs in Brazil. Is Jaden Reed the key cog to Green Bay's offense?
Him and Tucker Kraft. You watch 2 things. I mean, Matt LaFleur emphasized this year, no rock without the block. That was one of his mottos. So in other words, if you're not blocking downfield and helping everybody else, you're not going to get the passes thrown to you either. Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft, those 2 guys, watch them downfield and away from the ball or in front of the ball blocking. They're amazing at it. But Jaden Reed has just developed into something special. We were hoping it would be Romeo Doubs, that he would take that next step. And look, he's a good wide receiver. Dontavian Wicks has certainly come on. They've got a myriad of good guys to throw to. I'm not saying it's going back to the days when you had James Jones and Donald Driver and Jordy Nelson and Greg Jennings and all those guys, but you've got a myriad of good guys to throw to. So pick your poison as to who you're going to cover. But Jaden Reed has just, his trajectory has just skyrocketed. He just, over the last year and maybe a half, he has just got it. And they've utilized him in so many different ways, and he just absorbed it. But if you listen to him and you talk to him, you know as well as I do, the talent gets you here. But it's what's between your ears that takes you to another elevation. And this guy is all about work ethic, and this guy is all about learning more and more and more and tendencies of defenses and what's in front of him. But he runs an absolutely perfect route every time. He's been that good, and that's Jaden Reed.
Bill Michaels, midday host, 96.7 The Zone, out of Wisconsin. Vikings and Packers, noon, KFAN this Sunday. Is Josh Jacobs helping them forget Aaron Jones?
No. Josh Jacobs is good. There's a difference between these two, and you see it now. Aaron Jones has a 0 to 60 gear that is unlike a lot of running backs. I mean, he is very quick. He doesn't need a big hole. He can get little, he can get small and get sideways and get into a hole, and then off he goes to the next level. Where Josh Jacobs is good is when he gets to the next level, he can keep going. He's got that speed that you're not really going to catch him unless you're a really fast defensive secondary. Last year in the game against San Francisco, when Aaron Jones, he had a 25-yard run. It was a really solid run. But Aaron Jones of the past would normally break away from that, and he was off to the end zone. And last year when he got caught from behind, it reminded me of when they cut loose Jordy Nelson. And Jordy normally takes that quick shoulder pass, does a spin move, and off to the races he goes, and it's a touchdown. And then they ended up catching him, and I thought, I wonder if he's lost a little bit of a step. And at that point in time, that's when they cut Jordy loose. They did the same thing with Aaron Jones. And I love Aaron Jones. Look, you've met him, you've talked to him. He's the most wonderful guy to be around. He's the guy that, if your kids are going to be home alone for a day, you want him to come over and watch your kids. He's just that kind of a guy. And I love him. And we had so many great moments together. But they just felt that maybe he had lost a little bit of a step, and they needed a guy north to south that could be a grinder. But who knew that Aaron Jones was going to come back and do this and really rededicate himself in the offseason. Plus, on turf, he's that much quicker. I mean, I've watched some of the film on him, and he's just that much quicker. You guys have got a gem, and you got to fall in love with the guy. So I don't think they really replaced him and upgraded it. I just think they changed things and tweaked things a little bit.
Hey, Billy, what through three is the defense like under the leadership of Jeff Hafley? I mean, it's a 4-3 base. And it's strange seeing Rashawn Gary definitely in transition right now with his hand in the grass as a left defensive end.
It's the difference is what we saw last week against Tennessee was a lot of the same stuff early on where you kind of went, oh, God, here's the Joe Barry death by 1,000 cuts defense. But after that first drive, they got it. They knew that Levi was not a mobile quarterback, much like you saw the first 2 weeks when you had Jalen Hurts and you had Richardson. Both guys can really run, so you got to just contain them. What they did last week that Joe Barry would never do was, you can't run. Will Levis can't run. So we're going to go ahead and unload the kitchen sink. And they did. They brought it in stunts. They brought it up the gut. Edgerrin Cooper has really added. Watch him on Sunday because he's earning more and more playing time. And he is unbelievably explosive, fast through the hole. And when they blitz him, he comes out like a cannon, something like we haven't seen in a long time here in Green Bay. And that even goes back before like A.J. Hawk and company, even before Nick Barnett. He gets through the line so incredibly quick. So what they did was Hafley said, if you can't stop us, we're coming after you. And Joe Barry would never do that. Joe Barry believed in just keep it in front of you. We'll eventually get off the field. We'll eventually get a stop, and all things will work out. And Hafley's been really, really aggressive, and I like it. And the fact that he's played more man coverage, allowed Jair Alexander to kind of play some more man coverage and be himself. And Xavier McKinney has really been a great center fielder back there at the safety position with 3 picks in 3 games. I like the aggressiveness and I'll tell you this, Paul, listening to Hafley speak, he could read anything to me and I would be interested in it. Joe Barry was the absolute melatonin I take every night before I go to bed. He would put you to sleep. So it's just a breath of fresh air, defensively speaking.
Brian Flores' defense just freaked out Laramie Tunsil so badly, he took 5 penalties on 6 calls. Now, Packers left tackle Rasheed Walker already has 6 on him this season and leads the league with 4 holding infractions. 26 penalties for the Pack so far. That's like 4th worst in the league, Bill. Is this a problem?
Very much so. And now, as, Rasheed Walker continues to hold and continues with the hands to the face, and he's under the spotlight because officials are now looking for him because he's got that reputation. So he's got that reputational negative hill to climb. So, yeah, it's a problem. The one thing about the penalties I will say is the majority of them have been stupid on plays that have been relatively explosive, but they've bounced back after those plays to be able to pick up the third and longs, which is almost bizarre. The penalties really haven't hurt them. You're waiting for that penalty to hurt them, but they haven't really hurt them terribly. I think maybe one of those penalties in that game against Philadelphia on that drive in which early on they got the pick and they settled for a field goal instead of a touchdown, that hurt them, and maybe it cost them a win, obviously. But it hasn't hurt them real bad. But Rasheed Walker grades out as a pass blocker stellar. So when it comes to throwing the football, he's been really, really good. He's not David Bakhtiari, and he's not going to make us forget about David Bakhtiari, but he's got some blemishes. But yes, to your point, I think what Flores does and how he brings the stunts, and he brings them from all over the place, and he brings guys hooking around the outside into the inside, it's going to be problematic. And Josh Myers has been relatively weak as well. So the center for the Packers. So if you're looking for a gaping hole to run through at times, or a guy that you can bowl over at times, or pass rush and bull rush, that would be Josh Myers as well.
And lastly here, Bill, I think the red zone in this game is super key. I mean, Green Bay score, they're 30% in the 20, inside the 20, 3 touchdowns, 10 tries. You got a lot of field goals from 21, 23, 26. So they're getting close, but they're not getting in. Meanwhile, O'Connell against Houston, San Francisco, and the Giants, Darnold leads the NFL in red zone completions and red zone touchdowns. This could be a sneaky factor in the game, right?
Absolutely. 100%. And the fact that now you've got Jordan Love coming back and he was not successful in the red zone against Philadelphia, that becomes a glaring statistic. You take a highlighter and you cross it out because you want to make sure that that's something you continually pay attention to. I agree with you 100% that's going to be probably one of the big things if the Packers don't get that explosive play that gets you into the end zone, once the field becomes short in the red zone, they've had problems. And which is so weird because this team, Matt LaFleur, schemes it so well with so much motion and so much movement that it really does dictate what the defense is doing. And that's going to be the cat and mouse game. I mean, as much as I want to look at Jordan Love coming back, the cat and mouse to me is the motion and the movement of Matt LaFleur's offense versus what Flores is doing and where he's disguising things and bringing it from. That's a tremendous thing to watch. I also watch what is going to be the pressure that's put on Darnold to try to force him into making mistakes because, the world keeps waiting for him to see ghosts again. Remember that famous statement when he was with New York, waiting for him to see ghosts, and he hasn't. It's been remarkable, his turnaround. Right now he's the comeback player of the year, but I agree with you. The red zone's going to be key.
I appreciate you, man. Great stuff as usual. Have a wonderful time in lacrosse. Be safe, be smart, and we'll chat soon.
We'll see you soon, brother. Talk to you soon.
Later. Bill Michaels with 96.7 The Zone in Wisconsin. Very good radio host and elite Green Bay Packers mind. Hey, our Minnesota Lynx dispatched of the Phoenix Mercury, and they move into the Final Four of the WNBA playoffs, hooking the Connecticut Sun beginning Sunday. Cheryl Reeve, the coach and president of basketball operations, joins 9 to noon around the corner on a beautiful Thursday in the neighborhood being FM 100.3 KFAN. It's Paul Allen. Good morning.
Hey, what's up, KFAN? It's 84, man. Y'all stay tuned live for the hottest man in the world, PA, Paul Allen. Yes, sir.
Randy Moss! There we go, Paul!
Hey. Friday football feast tomorrow at Buffalo Wild Wings, Coon Rapids. All you Chad Greenway fans, be there early. Early bird gets the border battle worm. Chad's going to be there at 9, followed by Gabe Henderson from Vikings.com and the Vikings Entertainment Network, followed by Alec Lewis from The Athletic and TheAthletic.com, followed by, and to finish, David Sinekin, the Sultan of Smug and the host of Packer Preview for Border Battle 128 between the Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. Pregame at 10. Boom at noon this Sunday from Curly Lambeau Field. It's football Americana, ya say. As we mentioned earlier, the Minnesota Lynx dispatched of the Phoenix Mercury last night at Target Center, and now they hook the Connecticut Sun to begin the Final Four into the WNBA Finals. Connecticut dispatched of Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, and did so in rather facile fashion. And the Lynx went to grinding a little bit against the Mercury, not only in Game 1, but a little bit last night. Michael Grady, the television play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Timberwolves, called the game on ESPN last night. Man, that was a treat hearing Grady last evening from Target Center, and he called the Lynx into the winner's circle. Cheryl Reeve, the coach and president of basketball operations, should be joining us soon. We having a problem over there?
Well, I think she might be in the midst of a heavy film session on Dejanay Carrington. She says she just needs a few minutes, but she's gonna join us shortly.
Cool.
And excited to talk to her as the Lynx are moving on.
No doubt. And they had, I caught one and a half of them this year against the Connecticut Sun. They had some meat grinders against this team. And these are, at least statistically speaking, two of the very best defensive-minded teams in the WNBA, specifically when it came to giving up like 71, 73 points per game. They went 1-2 there. And all three games were super tightly contested. Connecticut beat the Lynx 2 of 3. First one was in overtime. It was a higher scoring game. The most recent one, September 17th, I believe, the Canadian, Bridget Carleton, walked off with a dagger 3. And on the other side, you have the defending champions, the Las Vegas Aces. They will do battle with the New York Liberty. And the winners will meet for WNBA immortality. And 30 minutes from now, if you're interested in attending any of these games at Target Center, tickets go on sale at 10 a.m. Links.WNBA.com. And watching it from afar last evening, it seemed like the crowd was large. Crowd was definitely frenzied and super into it. And when we do find Cheryl, one thing I'm going to bring up to her was the smart, classy nature of those at the game last night. Because Diana Taurasi for the Phoenix Mercury, you know, she's 42 years of age, and I'm seriously, I mean, balling that well at 42, and that might have been the last game of her career. You know, she's the all-time leading scorer in the history of that league. And, you know, along with the likes of Candace Parker and Lisa Leslie and Rebecca Lobo and, you know, even our beloved Lindsay Whalen and some other people, you know, some of the emerging talent in the WNBA. Diana Taurasi, if there's a Mount Rushmore for the WNBA, she might be the front face. And so when she checked out late in the game, she checked out to a rousing ovation. I don't know if it was a standing ovation, but like even a lot of Lynx fans and some Mercury fans that are either local or they made the trip from the Valley of No Fun, they got up out their seats and gave Diana a rousing ovation as she headed to the bench. And I thought that was a really, really classy touch by the crowd last night.
I mean, it's crazy too. Like, first overall pick in 2004, we just had Lindsay Whalen on yesterday. She was 4th in that draft, right? And Lindsay has a tremendous career, hoists a bunch of trophies, and she, I believe her last season was like 2018 with the Lynx. And Taurasi just has no quit. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's as good as it gets in terms of equity in the quote-unquote W. I wonder, and I don't think Cheryl would comment too much on this, but was there any part of you that was kind of hoping, let's see the Fever, you know, stay in this thing?
Of course.
Let's see Caitlin.
Yeah, they were getting, I was watching it at the track during the late pick 3. and they were getting killed. And then Clark started hitting threes from the next state. Then all of a sudden it was tight. And, but then, I got a chance to watch Connecticut a little bit where, outside of the Lynx games, I haven't really seen the Connecticut Sun much this season. But, some of the players we'll discuss include Alyssa Thomas, who, man, holy cow, she's a whiz at point guard. And I know I'm not breaking news here. I'm the one that concedes. I didn't watch a lot of WNBA. I caught 4 NCAA tournament games involving the Iowa Hawkeyes, and I got bit. And when you get bit, and from where you get bit and how you get bit, you never know where it's going to come or whence it's going to come. But and I love basketball, and I've always loved basketball at the very highest level, every bit as much outside of Vikings games or NFC North games, every bit as much as I enjoy watching the NFL, and to watch it as closely and as particularly as I did this year. A lot of it was eye-opening to me. We had Lindsay Whalen on the radio show yesterday, and we chatted about a few things. And I had a conversation yesterday on my drive home with Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve. That was a wonderful conversation about the game last night and just some things around the league and stuff like that. And, the desire to learn and the desire to a certain extent concede, all right, Alyssa Thomas. Everybody in the world who follows the WNBA knows the who, what, where, when, and why. I've heard her name, but I don't know the nuance of what she does. And then you hear it from somebody who has a handful of WNBA titles, and then you watch it, and it and for it to mesh, it's just eye-opening to me. The WNBA game is so much more physical than I thought while not paying attention. And that's been an eye-opening situation for me. Very physical game last night. Phoenix Mercury, they were keeping it close, and then the Lynx started to run away from them. Then we had a flagrant 1 on a Bridget Carlton, and you could just see when the ladies were running through the key and coming off picks and things like that. It's Phoenix was starting to grip a little bit, and they started to throw some bows and started to get a little nasty at the end of the game. And the response from the Lynx was really impressive. So this is a lot of fun right now. And those of you who follow it on a day-to-day basis, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the joy that it's bringing you right now. And it really would bring us a lot of joy if Cheryl Reeve were to join the 9 to noon radio show here at any time.
I think a few minutes again. I assume she's breaking down Connecticut Sun film with the first game taking place on Sunday. I watch some of these games with my kids, and eventually, Cheryl, as long as she's been a part of this organization, when you think about they won their 4th title. And then you start seeing the mass exodus, right? We're celebrating the Simone Augustuses of the world, and eventually Sylvia Fowles finds the end of her time, and Lindsay, of course, retires. Maya Moore makes a decision to leave the game early, and it's can Cheryl Reeve bring this thing back to where it is to try and recapture that? And, I can't speak to doubters or haters or anything like that, but
neither can I.
But sometimes within coaching, if maybe she's almost like the female version of Pop from the standpoint that she has created 2 entirely different generations of contenders.
She's OG
in the women's game.
Yeah.
And so, and at various points there were conversations, would she make the step over whatever that dotted invisible line would be to the men's game? Would she potentially think about coaching in the association?
Yeah.
But the ability to now put a second generation of players on the court that have a shot to win a title is nothing short of remarkable.
All righty. We're in a pinch. Let's pause right now. When we return, we will call Cheryl Reeve, and she will be there as she just shared with me.
All right.
9 to noon continues after. It's a howl of a different variety. It is the howl of the Minnesota Lynx dispatching of the Phoenix Mercury last evening. And head coach and president of basketball operations, Cheryl Reeve with the Minnesota Lynx, joins us now, taking care of the pesky Mercury last night at Target Center, and in convincing fashion. Now, the W is down to a Final Four. Defending champion Las Vegas and New York, and our Lynx in the Connecticut Sun. And Cheryl joins us now. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, PA. I'm good. It's a beautiful morning out there here in Minneapolis.
Indeed. And I don't know if you've done this, but I did it earlier. I opened ESPN.com to prep for this segment, and boom, there's Napheesa Collier right on the front page, and a celebration of her record 42-point night. The world is on to you guys now, Cheryl. No hiding anymore, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't go on and see that, but that's terrific because, like you said, Fee was record setting. The record setting was the 2-game total of 80 points. Mm-hmm. First time anybody's done that. So she tied the single game with Breanna Stewart and Angel McCautry. She made her free throw. She'd have it, but the 2-game total is record breaking.
Yeah, 12 of 14. Yeah, she was dynamited at the league. What a treat to watch last night. Quickly, tickets for Sunday's first game against the Sun are on sale at 10 a.m. today. So 15 minutes from now, lynx.wnba.com. Tickets for the Lynx hosting Connecticut this Sunday. I believe it's 7:30. Lynx.wnba.com. Collier was so active last night, and she always seems so happy. Is Fee super coachable and fun to work with?
That's just an understatement, PA, and I think that's what makes it so great for everyone around her, teammates, support staff, coaching staff, anybody, the community. And that's why I say this. If I'm a Fortune 500 company and I'm based here in the Twin Cities, I am ringing up Napheesa Collier's agent and say, we've got to do something, because she's incredible. And it just, I think that it's difficult to find. It's difficult to find to the degree that Fee is the same all the time. Whether it's a difficult situation, whether it's easy, whether it's teammates need her, whatever it is, whether the coaches, need messaging sent to the team. Like, she's just, all things to all people. And I think the players that came here to play for us, like a Courtney Williams, who's been in the league a long time, has played alongside some greats in the league. And she just said that she's never played with a star like Fee that is truly without ego, and humble. And it just makes it really meaningful to be around her.
In what ways, if any, Cheryl, does she remind you of the great Maya Moore?
As a player, they're very different. They're very, very different. And Maya was one of the most heralded college players ever when she came to the Lynx. Napheesa Collier came into the league without much fanfare. Sort of this understated player who, if you go look at the UConn record books, Napheesa Collier was right there with Maya Moore and Breanna Stewart as far as the statistical career that she had at UConn. Fee's teams did not achieve the same level of success as Maya's did or Stewie's did. So she came into the league much further under the radar. Maya came in as this, lottery pick and, number one pick, change the franchise type of player. And so I think it's just sort of defines the path. Fee is understated. And she's really working her way, now 6 years into the league and, crashing on the scene in this MVP race. And she has a goal and she's determined. And, it's just this work ethic. And are they similar? Statistically, yes. How they go about it, completely different.
I love that Kayla McBride bounce pass straight down the key to get Napheesa the left-handed layup. I mean, and the more I watch it, the more I learn about these players. McBride beats teams a bunch of ways, doesn't she?
She does, and that's the great thing about K-Mac. We say it's so much more. She's not a specialist. Yeah, she shoots the darn thing really well. having a great year from 3-point line. But it's all the other stuff. And we tell her all the time, she gets frustrated if her shot doesn't fall. We tell her the great thing for her, she has other things she falls back on to help us win. And, her role last night in recognition of her shots, recognition of actions that we were getting into that was good for her and for rollers, which we put fee in most of the rolling situations because of Phoenix's schemes with regard to switching.
Classy, smart crowd, as I mentioned earlier. Diana Taurasi checks out, and the road crowd gave her a rousing ovation. I mean, she still has terrific game at age 42, but I thought that was a nice touch last night.
Yeah, we have a very informed crowd. I mean, Taurasi's been in the league for 20 years. She's been in the Target Center, many times. So many of those fans, and even, if they weren't there for all 20 years, everyone understands, an all-time great when it's their final moments as a professional. The proper thing to do, though she was a player that enjoyed being the villain, maybe our fans loved to hate, so to speak. That tells you you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Your fans feel that way about somebody. But I think being able to, in that moment, the recognition that, that career coming to an end, we got to witness greatness many, many years. And that was the appropriate response by our fans.
Beautifully put. Now, when they interviewed you on the bench in the third quarter, you were still mad at the defense. Did it turn a corner and click after that chat? It seemed from afar like it did a little bit.
Yeah, our third quarter, we got some things done. But to be honest with you, no, we didn't stop them. But I got to tell you, we played considerably better defensively than we did in game one. We as I mentioned, I take responsibility for sort of the misunderstanding of how we were going to play ball screens with certain personnel that led to a really massive game by Natasha Cloud in game one. Even though we tried to fix it in game, we just never could get there. And so all of us were resolute about how we needed to play and playing like ourselves and playing pick and roll how we like to play pick and roll, regardless of maybe some of the analytics. And so we got back to our comfort zone. And I'll be honest with you, I thought Phoenix played great. These two games, their will, their execution, it's a very good offensive team. And I just thought they were on another level. And so while we did some things really well, we let their bench hurt us last night. They came in, but we did, BG got away from us for a little bit, but we were okay with a player having a big game. We just did not want multiple players having a big game. And so, BG being the target to say, okay, if we've got to give up some stuff in there, and she played great. We did a nice job on Taurasi, did a nice job on Kalia Copper, Cunningham, the other starters did a nice job on Cloud. And then we let the bench get away from us for a little bit. So if we didn't let the bench get away from us, we probably were right where we needed to be.
Well,
yeah, we did okay last night.
Yeah, and speaking of getting away from something, it like the whole thing, not in that you were going to lose, but the game started to get a little wonky when Carlton took the flagrant one, and then Courtney Williams runs down and to get in the mix and get Bridget's back, and she took a tee. So, are you cool with all that? Like, what do you say about moments like that? I didn't mind it as a fan because somebody was getting somebody's back, but nevertheless, there was a technical involved.
Quite simply, that's what's been missing from our teams over the last 2 years.
Wow.
And when Courtney came to us, one of the things that we talked about, she said, we talked about Diamond Miller last year finding herself in some in-game chatter with opponents, and it was Courtney's team. And Courtney noticed that Diamond was alone in what was happening. And she said that should never happen. And so that's what you saw. You saw, Courtney saying that that's her belief. And it's what's been missing from our team. And so absolutely, I'm okay with that. Okay with Maisha. We've been missing that.
Yeah.
And so as long as we don't cross the line, of course, but it was an appropriate response.
That was beautifully laid out. Cheryl Reeve, head coach and president of basketball ops for the Minnesota Lynx, hooking Connecticut Sunday, 7:30 Target Center. Tickets go on sale about 5 minutes from now. That's lynx.wnba.com. Now, the Sun, you guys were 1-2 against them this year, and they all were tightly contested. September 17th, the Lynx won on a Bridget Carlton dagger 3. It seems you guys match up well with each other, and statistically, these seem to be the two best defenses in the WNBA with points per game allowed. Do you feel like a meat grinder's on the horizon?
Very different than the series we just played. You're going to go from where we scored 100 points each game to getting to 60 is going to be a knockdown drag out. You said it well. Both teams we're two of the top defensive teams in the league. We have had the better offense. It would just be difficult, to get some of the stuff that we got. The 3 games, we had our first game out there in Connecticut, we lose on a very difficult foul call in the closing seconds of the game that put Tawana Bonner on the line for free throws, that later the officials apologized for the call that they made. Okay. So, and then, like you said, BC hits the dagger. So the middle game was a game at our place that was a stretch that we just weren't playing well. We liked the matchup. Obviously we played them last year. Playoff Connecticut is a beast. As we know, Alyssa Thomas, Duana, they're beasts at this time of year. So we better be on it defensively, because we hope that our defense can hold long enough that we can find our offensive separation, because we do think we have an edge in that area.
Alyssa Thomas averaged 13 assists per game against the Fever in the postseason, those 2 games, and had a double-double and triple-double against you guys this year. For those who haven't followed the Sun closely, is she the A topic for Connecticut? Oh,
for sure. Indiana doesn't play very much defense. They didn't play it most of the season, so it's not surprising to see Alyssa excel in multiple categories. They didn't guard her, in Alyssa Thomas's hot zone, so she scored. And then obviously she's such a playmaker, and so she was able to capitalize on the lack of defense that Indiana displayed. It'll be a little harder against us. I think we know her well. But she, she'll tell you she likes playing against Minnesota. We take offense to that. This year's team takes offense to that. And, we feel like it's going to be different this time. We need our fans. You mentioned the tickets going to go on sale. The environment we had, first, the 2 games in the playoffs last night was incredible.
Yep.
Despite later start that, we worked our asses off for home court advantage. We need to make sure that is a factor, because if we win our home games, PA, in this series, we are in the WNBA finals. And that's our goal. We want to get there to compete for a championship.
Tickets on sale 2.5 minutes from now, lynx.wnba.com. And I'm completely with you on Indiana Fever and the defense or lack thereof. So I would imagine that kind of played into Marina Mabry for Connecticut. I mean, she averaged 14 points per game in the regular season and got 22 a game in these last 2. What's her game like?
Scorer, feisty. She's Belmar, New Jersey, PA, so she's got a little spice to her. She supremely confident. They traded for her. It was a massive trade, I think, and it's going to show itself right now. And this, is she enough? They had a massive injury to their starting point guard in Ty Harris, who seems will miss the remainder of playoff, it seems. And so maybe fills that role of another scorer, a perimeter shooter, because they struggle from the 3. So it takes a little pressure off Duana Bonner having to do so much at that end of the floor, both perimeter-wise as well as, Bonner does, great work inside the 3. So, yeah, we're going to have to we played her well the last outing. She got free on Indiana again. That was an opportunistic time for Mabry, because she found herself open a massive 3 to seal the game yesterday. So poor rotation by Indiana. Hopefully we'll be the defensive team that we've been all season against these guys, and because we'll need that with Mabry.
And to that point, last one, and thank you very much for the time. Truly enjoying it. You guys led the WNBA in the regular season in defensive field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and we're number 2 in free throws attempted for the opposition. Fee and D seems to be the identity of the team. What needs?
That's exactly.
What needs to tighten with the defense this next round, one step from the WNBA championship series?
Well, I will say the matchup, the type of matchup that Phoenix posed, with their ability to penetrate and contain them. When you've also got to worry about Griner setting a ball screen, but we need the big to help on the drive. Because we lose the foot race often with Kalia Copper, as every team does. We lose the foot race with Cloud. Connecticut does not possess the same skill set. So our defense should be in a good space. We know we got to defend the paint on these guys. That's where they want to be. So different than Phoenix. Phoenix wanted to shoot threes, and so it's a different identity. Defending the paint, which, we have had some challenges there. But we have an understanding of what needs to happen, and rebounding. Another concern of ours. You listed all the metrics where we're really strong. Some of the other ones where we're not is actually an advantage for Connecticut that we're going to have to shore up and make some progress in that area, which is their paint and defensive rebounding.
Thanks for the chat. Tear it up Sunday. We'll chat next week if you have time. Okay.
Thanks, PA. Good to talk to you.
Yep, likewise. See you. Cheryl Reeve, coach and president of basketball ops for the Lynx, into the Final Four, taking on the Connecticut Sun this Sunday. It's 10 o'clock. Vikes Bites are next.